Alright, it looks pretty good. I ran all the 4 boards across the joiner, and now I'm down to 11 and 15/16. But when I domino this together to make it one solid board, I need to pay attention to where these are going. I don't really want to waste domino in here where there's going to be a hole, but I also don't want it to be exposed on the edge. So I'm going to start with a center line, and then I'll get one as close to the inside here as I can. That'll give me more room when it comes to cutting this square. The dominoes I'm going to put in here more or less just to hold it so it doesn't shift and keep it pretty flat. The edge glue will be what really holds it together. That turned out really nice. I was able to use the tight setting on my offset base and it went together perfectly. Everything is nice and flush. I mean, you got just a hair raising little piece here and there, but all that's going to clean up when I run it through my planer, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I mean, all right, I'm a little anxious with this project because I didn't let this panel sit overnight. It just sat for a few hours, but I scraped the glue off both sides here. It's pretty flat, and one thing I want to let you know is that when I run it through the planer, these lines are going to disappear. So I put them on both sides, drop some center lines, so I know where my dominoes are when I make these square cuts. So I think I'm going to be ready to give it a couple passes through, a couple light passes. The only disadvantage I can see with making a top like this is that now I've got a grain running in both directions. There's just no way around it. So when I run it through the planer, I hope, because of my carbide tipped cutter head, I won't get too much chip out. We'll see. Alright, I just finished squaring up my top. You can see my lines here for my domino center lines. And I ended up a little oversized, 25 1/4 by 11 7/8. Alright, I hope we can see this. Center line. Then the center of the boards where they intersect, the glue line is actually the center line as well. That's nice. So as it turns out, I am at my finished width. Actually, I'm just a hair under, but I'll live with that. So I decided to go 1 3/4 reveal here, and then that leaves 1 3/4 on the outside. You see 2 circles here. The outermost circle is this one. The innermost circle will be this one here, where the bowl will actually sit down into that opening. So it's 3/8 of an inch difference in the radius, 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So I took from the outer circle, I took 1 3/4 this way, 1 3/4 that way, and these are my cut lines for the outside. And then I decided to use this face as my good side, because this little defect right here is going to get cut out. 98% of it. Then there's just that little bit left, but that's going to be covered by the bowl lip. Okay, so I've got just a hair under 1 3/4 reveal here and here. Then here's my center line for my dominoes. I'm well away from that. My cut line will be well away from it as well. So everything worked out pretty well. I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, so here's my idea for coming up with some legs. I want to give it a little style, I guess. So I'm going to flare these at 10 degrees. I'll put a wedge in there and maybe, depending upon the length of the wedge, I will maybe sand a little arc in there of some kind. And then I'll have 2 stretchers going across this way to kind of tie it all together and then tie the top to the leg assembly. So the one thing I do not want to do is I do not want these to stick out past the outside edge. So I'm going to try and hold it back, maybe a quarter or so on each side to give me a little room to clean up the edges. So this is the bottom. I transferred some lines from the opposite side. These are my cut lines. These are the inside part where the bowl comes into the bowl will be tapering this way away from this line. So that gives me about 2 inches to play with here. And I want to have some reveal over the outside. As you're looking at it, I want there to be a lip, is what I'm saying. So whatever that lip is there, I'll continue that around with my stretcher. So if I can get it to be 1 inch, then that's what I'll have around the front edge as well. So the next thing is to take, I've got these 4 pieces of stock, get them cut to, you can see they're not all the same width. These 2 are, but these 2 aren't. So I'll run these through my table saw, get these 2 to nearly the same width, and then cut those tapers, or cut the flare, the angle, 10-degree angle, and see where I'm at. I'll start with the longer ones first so that I have some material to work with in case I want to dial that back a little bit. But right now I'm thinking 10 degrees.